Hello, ma'am. I'm Jessica Grace Emanuela from Multiculturalism in Education class. In this video, I want to present my observation from checklist number 2 on the topic of student interaction and leadership. In my presentation, I will focus 3 main points. As you can see on the screen, this is the table of the contents that I will discuss. Number 1 is the reason why I chose this checklist. Number 2 is my findings that I found in this observation. And number 3 is the significant impacts that I can draw from my observation that may help me to become a more prepared English teacher. First of all, I'd like to give you an overview of my observation at school. So I observed Pasung Elementary School, which is located in Cengkareng area, West Jakarta. This school has provided me with the reason for observation and insights about the material topic that I brought in checklist number 2, which is student interaction and leadership, which I will explain on the next slide. So why did I choose this checklist? I decided to on checklist number 2 because I want to know and point out the interaction and student leadership that is important to implement in schools because teachers need to know their students, how their students interact at school and have a leadership skill in school. So the student interaction. Let me elaborate further on the reason that is related to the student interaction. So for me, student interaction is very important point in positive interactions between teachers and their students and plays an important role in their determining student success. Students' achievement is greatly influenced by the positive connection that the teachers have with their classes that are connected to their students. Activities in classroom, of course, need interaction, which is the teachers to students or else students to students. This facilitates effective teaching and learning and can improve student communication. It describes how the student engage with one another, the teacher, and even the rest of the class. We as teachers must know how students interact with other students in school. Because if we don't know how students can interact with each other, then it will certainly make students uncomfortable with their school environment, or worse, students may be reluctant to take lessons, or maybe they will lazy or else. And about the leadership, this ties with the student interactions is ties with the leadership. Not only the student interaction, but leadership is also important for students, because as a teacher teach students that leadership skills are an important role for students in learning activities or process. Clear objectives are provided by effective leaders who also inspire and direct their class to accomplish the good organization class goals. For example, is a leadership structure in the class, such as class president or head of the class vice president, or class secretary, and the other worst job is to organize the class so that it runs well. Now I like to move on to the next part, which the second point is what are the findings that I found in my observation at Pasung Elementary School. Okay, so the first is racial or ethnic representation in advanced placement classes, honors classes, and gifted programs are balanced. In Pasung School, during my observation activities, there is no discrimination at the school. All colors, races, and ethnics are equally represented in the advanced placement class. Honor class and gifter program are balanced. Students of various races or ethnics will all study in the same classroom with the same teachers and the same course materials. Therefore, even if they are different from their friends, they won't feel discriminated against and believe that they are okay with it. So I read it out 4 out of 5. Then I go to the next or to the second part, that the youth voice is considered in decision making by regularly meeting with randomly selected groups of students to obtain feedback. During my observation activity, I believe that while making decisions, the voice of the young students have not been considered. Since elementary school students are still too young to make significant judgments, I believe that the voice of kinds of kids or students in this part have not been taken into account when making decisions. At this level of elementary school, the teachers is still in charge of making decisions. The teachers still take into account the opinions of each child parents while making judgments too. So in my findings, I rated 2 out of 5 because there is still not enough. Now let's turn to the third part. There is a variety of students' leadership opportunities for all students in Pachung School. Based on my observation in 5th grade class, I assisted with my teacher, Pamom, named Mr. Andy. In this class, I found that this class is its head of the class, who would lead when greeting the teachers or leading the way of their class. As for the class secretary, who used to check whether or not his students were absent for today's class, maybe, or tomorrow, or else. Not only that, but Mr. Andy also put the student's name in the picket schedule to be assigned every day. So with this, the class structure can be well organized, so I rated 5 out of 5. The fourth part or the fourth point is students of different groups integrate socially outside of the classroom. Yes, in the Pasung school, students engage socially with one another outside of the classroom, with friends in other classes, and sometimes they are successful peers with are in the higher class than them or the opposite. In this school, it is occasionally seen that children or students in classes might interact during break time. So they usually talk or play with each other. So with this, I rate it 4 out of 5. Next, I'll focus on the fifth point about the super program. So there are identified super programs to promote the achievement and retention of lower achieving groups. In Pasung School, there are support programs for groups with low achievement levels. Usually, the teachers will give this free time to the students who usually have below average grades to consult with the parents and the students. This is the aim of taking action or solution to improve the student score. So that includes remedial instruction project to make up for lost grades and more time to complete test question. So with this, I read it 5 out of 5. Next point is students who are involved in community service and service learning activities. In Pasung School, there are community service and service learning activities. Students participate in service learning and community service projects because the school offers extracurricular activities like field trip activities, and the field trip activities may teach students to know new things in the learning program. So I rate it 4 out of 5. Finally, I'd like to raise briefly the last point about the program in place to facilitate the adoption of the new students. So in Pasung School, there is a program in place to facilitate the adoption of the new students or students into the school and classroom by making them to counseling room to talk or consultation with the teacher. Then I go to the last topic, which is what are the significant impacts I can draw from my observation that may help me to become a more prepared English teacher. So for me, assist in identifying requirements to maximize the potential of both teachers and students. As in the explanation of what are the findings previously that I say earlier, that some students have scores below the average, then they consult with the teachers regarding subjects. So in my opinion, when I will become a teacher, the thing that needs to be prepared for this to give more attention to the students who have low grades, or maybe the students who did not active in their class, or material of the study. So like teachers can make some learning activities to be more varied, such as holding quizzes with the aim that students are active and can get plus points from it. Or teachers can provide additional time, such as after school learning hours, so that they can better understand the learning material of the study. Okay, so from checklist number 2, which I discussed and I describe here, it makes me feel important that students' interactions and leadership as the formation of students' character are also found in the findings of the second point. So that's all of my presentation. Thank you for your time. I'm sorry if there are words are not pleasing, but thank you for listening.